fifth grade scientists. My name is Felicia Fowler, and I teach fifth grade at West Haven Elementary School. This is Summer Science Activity 3 for Grade 5. The activities and handout can be found under the Student Resource tab on the Knox County website. Show us what you've learned by tweeting at KCS Science. If this video is hard to understand, turn on closed caption if available, adjust the playback speed to slow down the video, consider watching short clips, then pause, listen, and watch again. Ask someone in your home to watch the video with you. Stop frequently and talk to your partner about what you hear and understand. Today we are learning about patterns in motion. The essential question is, how can you go faster down a slide? The activity we're going to be completing today is the Great Slide Challenge. It's going to be so much fun. Some vocabulary that you need to know are patterns of motion, when a moving object makes the same pattern again and again. Friction, the force resisting motion, it slows things down. Unseen forces, the pushes and pulls all around us. Friction force, when materials push back against another material. That's the tug of war between gravity and friction. Gravity, the force that attracts a body toward the center of the earth or toward any other physical body having mass. Steep, that's the incline of an object. Now, I want you to think about some of the many slides you've gone down. What made those slides better than other slides? Well, today we're going to be talking about some unseen forces. These are the pushes and pulls that are all around us, and they have something to do with it. As you learned in Science Activity 1, the steeper the incline, the faster and the farther an object's going to go. So steeper slides always cause you to go faster. That's because gravity pulls you down a slide, and the steeper the slide is, the less there is to get in the way of gravity. Now, I want you to think, what would the steepest slide look like? Pause and talk to a neighbor. Okay, now, if you said that the steepest slide would be almost straight up and down, you are so right. It would have a very, very steep incline. Now, I want you to think about, what would the most boring slide be? Pause and think about that for a moment. Okay, if you said that this very boring slide would be almost flat, you are correct. Its incline would not be very steep at all. Now, our essential question is, how can you go faster down a slide? I want you to think about a slide that's near you, maybe at school, a playground, even your backyard. Think about that slide for just a moment. What could you change so you could go faster down the slide? Pause the video and write this down on your activity sheet. Okay, I bet you asked the question, what affects how fast you go down a slide? And you may have thought about, well, it's the material the slide is made of. And you are right. Some slides are made of polished metal. That makes the slide smooth and slick. Those are my favorite slides. I always go the fastest down those. But there are other slides that are made of different materials. Take this rusty old slide for an example. If you were to run your finger over it, you could feel all the roughness. It's these little bumps that are all over the slide. These little bumps cause friction. Friction, as you slide down the slide, your jeans and the material rub against each other. And the slide material pushes back against you. This causes you to slide slower. There's another factor that plays in this, and it's gravity. Gravity pulls you down the slide, and the slide almost always wins. But the material that the slide is made of pushes back against you. That's the friction force. The tug of war is a fight between friction and gravity. Man, I wonder who's going to win. I'm sure you come to the conclusion that it's not all about what the slide is made of. It also has to do with what you might be wearing. If you're wearing jeans and you slide down the slide, there's going to be a greater friction force between you and the slide because your jeans are made of a much more jagged material. Now, if you're wearing sweatpants that are just cotton clothing, you might have less friction between you and the slide because that material is smoother. Now, there's another material called silk. Silk is a very smooth material, and if you were wearing silk and you slid down the slide, there would be almost no frictional force between you and the slide. You would go so fast. Now if I want to slide the fastest, what material might I wear? Now, scientists have been studying patterns of motion and friction for a very long time. They have realized that friction can help us out in big ways. Take these tires, for instance. Car tires are made of rubber and patterned treads. They've done this so that the car will stop better. Bowling lanes are coated with oil to reduce friction. This allows the ball to move quicker down the alley. That's got me thinking. I wonder if I were to coat the slide with something, if I would slide faster. That's an investigation for another day. Now, air hockey tables have very little friction. They use air pumped through the small holes to keep the puck from touching the table. The less contact they have with each other, the less friction there is. Alright, scientists, today you are going to test out how can you go faster down a slide. You're going to do this by competing in the Great Slide Challenge. You will need 3 to 4 books to stack as a ramp, a flat surface like stiff cardboard, baking sheet, book, or a folder. As you can see in my ramp, I used another book. You'll need some different materials. Some examples are cloth, felt, aluminum foil, sandpaper, bottle caps, buttons. I chose to use 2 different bottle caps, one that was smooth and one that had a rough texture, some felt, a magnet, sandpaper, and some rough, rugged paper that I found at my house. Now remember, you can use anything that you have. It doesn't have to be these materials. Anything that you have at home will work just fine. Now, your pennies. You're going to put 2 pennies on each slider. Then you're going to use the tape to tape those pennies in, just so they don't fall off as they're sliding. The last thing you're going to need is the KCS Science handout for Activity 3. You have 2 ways that you can test your sliders to see which one has the least amount of friction. You can choose to test 2 at a time, where you hold the 2 sliders at the top, see who wins, and then test 2 new sliders. After you test those, you might have to test the ones that win against each other to see which one has the least friction. Remember, the slider that makes it to the bottom the fastest had the least friction. Another way you can test is you can test all your sliders at one time. See which slider makes it to the bottom the fastest, and that slider has the least friction. If you're not sure about which one had the greatest amount of friction, the ones that were the slowest, you could retest them and see. Take one out every time. The winner, take the winner out. That will be so much fun. Here are some videos of me completing this challenge at home. These sliders here are tested 2 at a time. As you can see, that sandpaper, it didn't make it very far, so it had a lot of friction. When we test the next 2, we've got the felt and another bottle cap. Those 2, when they slide down, the felt had much more friction. And then we test those, and the magnet wins for sure. You can also choose to test all your sliders at one time. Check this out. Look at them go. So much fun. Be sure to document your findings on the KCS Science handout. Make sure you document all your trials and then what you observed as you were testing out your sliders. Write down what materials you use because your materials may not be the same as what I used. You're also welcome to document what happened based on my experiment. After you complete all your trials, be sure to complete the wrap-up on your Science Activity 3 handout. I am so excited to hear and see everything that you learned this summer. Keep up the learning, scientists, and be sure to tweet at KCS Science. Have a great summer.